back on the podcast. Happy to be joined by Super Bowl champion head coach Andy Reid of the Chiefs. Andy, we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and you have a little bit of sentimentality about going through a year in a pandemic with your coaching staff that early on in a meeting in July, you wanted to commemorate. And I'd love you to share that story of that meeting and a photograph.
Yeah. So I'm standing in there and I'm addressing the staff for the first time since we were able to get back in the building. And I look out there and I'm going, this is unbelievable. I had Rick Burkholder actually giving the injury report and talking to the guys about
your trainer.
Program. Our trainer, Rick Burkholder, working through the COVID process that we'd have to go through every day. And when he's talking, I'm going, oh my gosh, everybody here has a mask on. This is like incredible. So I said, I go, does anybody in here have their phone? And one person had it, and he's the one that ran our training camp. He had to have it. Nobody else had their phone, which I was proud of on that side. But
because you don't allow phones in meetings.
Yeah, you don't have phones in meetings. So Mitch brings up his phone, and I said, all right, click that thing on and get the camera out. And I said, we're going to take a picture of this right here, and I'm only giving it to you, and nobody else will get this thing. And you save it for your grandkids, and just show them what we went through here. It's a very unique time.
I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people around the NFL were really happy for you, because through your triumphs and tragedies, the loss of your son, I think everybody looks at you as just a human being who experiences kind of the same things and has a lot of the same feelings that they have. And when I heard that story, when you told me that story, I just said, that's a great story for you, and I think you'll probably always remember that one.
Yeah, well, it's a unique time. So yeah. I appreciate that though, Peter.
Andy, what has it been like for you this off season? It's almost an experience unto itself. As you said, it's going to be different than any other thing. Give me a couple of things that's been tough for you, or it's been difficult for you guys, the team, basically to get your work done.
Well, the on-field is the obvious. So other than that, we cranked, and we had, it's hard to believe, but we had like 100% attendance with our guys at these WebEx meetings. So they were all in, and they didn't miss. And so we were able to go through installs. We were able to go through all our off-season studies with them. And what I didn't think we could get accomplished, we got accomplished. And old guys like me learned all this technology, and it was unique. It was just it was a unique thing. But the actual on-field work you couldn't do. We were locked out of the building. So and the kids were, they were all in their homes. So we just did everything virtually.
I had a conversation this week with Alan Sills, the NFL's chief medical director, and he said that when I was talking to him about sort of the importance of trying to get this season played, and he made an interesting point. He said, America should be rooting for us because we need to get back to some degree of normalcy. Who knows how long before a vaccine comes? Who knows how many people will even take the vaccine in this country right now? So, do you kind of feel the same way? Football is sort of a bit of an allegory, even though a very wealthy allegory to try to get back to some sort of normal life.
Oh, I think so. No, I absolutely think so. You can see what's happened with the other sports. People are tuning in and watching, and that's what this country loves. Sports and professional sports, college sports, they love it all. So it's no more obvious than now, and that's what I felt when I was out and about. People would, oh man, I hope we're playing, and so there's be 20% capacity in our stadium. That 20%, man, that's going to be a wrestling match to see who they are. to get in there.
How are they deciding that, by the way?
Yeah, listen, I have no idea. I'm not sure exactly. The ultimate jump ball, right? It's that's a, that's a killer.
But I get asked this question a lot. Hey, what if Kansas City gets to have 20%? And what if the Chargers can't have any fans? Or what if Denver can't have, or whatever? And I just say, there's a time and a place to get upset about things like that. This year is not the time or the place to get upset about if some team can have 20%, some team can't have any fans. This is, in a lot of ways, I just think this is going to be an unfair year. And it's not all going to be equal, but just relax and hope that everybody gets to play 16 games. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is unique. And so I think we're all in that mode where you have to roll with the punches, and there'll be some bumps in the road, and you got to work around them and through them and everything else, so to get it done. But I think we're all excited to be back. I feel that way about the players. I think if you probably asked every head coach, I mean, the staff was great. They were fired up to be back. The players were fired up to be back, and then holding these guys back on all this ramp up stuff is a tough thing to do. But they've managed it. Myself and O'Brien, we're the two guinea pigs here. So
we got going back earlier.
Yeah,
you got the first game,
the Thursday game. So yeah, and so it's but listen, it's been great. It's been great to have everybody back.
Andy, I talked to your quarterback who said that you've been busy doing some new stuff, and that as you do every year, you're not a static coach. But if we watch the Chiefs this year, think of some way you can disguise this. But if we watch the Chiefs this year, how do you think, if any way, you'll look different than you did in your Super Bowl year?
Yeah, well, it won't be by personnel because we have most of the people coming back. So the scheme would be the part that we're always tinkering with and trying to add new things. That doesn't mean we won't do the old stuff either. But you're always trying to grow, and we've got a young quarterback that's growing and loves the challenge of more within reason. So we've added some things in. It's exciting. We just have to wait to show you.
In other words, as Bill Parcells used to say, well, you're going to have to come to the game for that.
That's right. Yeah.
How often in the course of the off season did somebody come up to you and said, "Hey, coach, 2-3 jet chip wasp"?
Yeah, there were a lot of wasps out there. It was a popular bug, I'll tell you, which was great. I mean, that was a heck of a play. Now everybody knows it because you put it out there, but that's good.
You drew it for me.
No, I got a free shirt for it. So I was giving you the evolution of it. You've got about 100 lines on that piece of paper, but yeah. So like I said, I got a free T-shirt, and that was great. It's got the play right on it.
Yeah. How hard is it, Andy, when you know that not only every team in the AFC West, because obviously you go to school on every team in your division anyway, that everybody, on your schedule is really spending a lot of time this off season to prepare for you, to try to decipher you, to try to frustrate you and frustrate Patrick Mahomes. What do you do as a coach to combat that?
Yeah, I think you honor that. I mean, that's you've worked hard for that to happen, all of us, and so you wear that, and then you go back and you go back through the process. So everything wasn't smooth last year. It never is getting where we got, and so we had ups and downs. We didn't win every game, and we were behind in the playoffs every game. So everything wasn't perfect, and you got to go back to the process, and you're going to have hurdles that you've got to get over during the year on the football field, and so every like I said, you go through every day and just make sure that you're doing the best you can, and then you let the chips fall where they may.
Um, there's been some speculation about you and how long you're going to do this. You're 62 years old. You seem to still really like it. Have you thought to yourself how much longer you want to be a head coach and have this exciting electric quarterback who's going to be a career chief at the controls of your offense?
Yeah, well, he gave me half his contract, so I'd stick around. No, he didn't. Listen, I'm fired up every day that I have a chance to do it. You know that. I mean, I love doing what I'm doing. I'm around great people. I get to work for the Hunt family. They're phenomenal. I mean, Clark just does it the right way, and so listen, here I am, and I haven't thought about the other part of this. I've just tried to focus in on. Uh, I love it. I'm gonna keep doing it until I don't love it, I guess, and or they kick me out of the building. So one of the two. But right now, I'm very excited to do what I'm doing. Listen, I've got great players too. I've got Brett Veach here, who's bringing all these guys in and keeping them here, and these guys work hard. They enjoy doing what they're doing. So my thing is, let's roll.
Two last things. Mahomes is such an interesting guy because he has really become a team leader. He's of all things, he's your player rep. He, wants everybody in the locker room to vote. He wants to lead Black Lives Matter. And yet, that he's going to work as much as he needs to work to be great at his job. And I wonder what happened this off season with you and him. Tell me what it was like to work with him sort of virtually instead of, man to man in the same room. And take me into some of the stuff that you and he did this off season, basically to try to be better.
Yeah, so I used to wear them out with these little 3x5 cards. You've seen those, and I'd walk down to the quarterback room and I'd say, "Hey, you think we can get this thing done right here?" And it was kind of a fun thing that we did. So that was
there'd be a play on the card.
There'd be a play on the card.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have that opportunity, but we had an opportunity to do it virtually, and we kind of kept that going. And we shared it with the rest of the guys. We shared it with all the positions. And
so you would take a 3x5 card with a play.
Well,
you guys think we can do this?
Yeah, my guys here, the coaches, they put it on they make it look good. So
yeah.
I give it to them, and then they draw it up nice. So it's a little different, but we shared it with all the guys. And the guys got into that. And so my thing with Pat is he loves ball. He's a good guy. I mean, just a good person, and very competitive, and wants to get better every day. I mean, that's how he does it. And so the players know it. He's not, you named all of the things he's involved in, but he's still a guy. He's one of the guys, and that has a lot of responsibility, and he's able to handle that and be the leader of the football team and make everybody around him better, and come to work with a great attitude. You don't get this huge fluctuation in personality. You're going to get the same guy, and he just wants to go out and dominate.
I think one of the things that I've always, and again, Patrick is such a young guy in the game, but when I heard right after you guys had to cut Kareem Hunt a couple of years ago, and Patrick wanted to talk to the team alone, and I looked it up on your roster, and I assume there would be 53 players in the room that day. Well, 49 of them were older than Patrick Mahomes, and yet he felt comfortable enough in his own skin, and as this guy on the team, to come out and say, in essence, we're not going to let this ruin our season. Come on, we gotta pick it up. And but it's interesting. You weren't in the room that day, right? It was players only.
Yeah, he came in and he just said, "Hey, can I have a minute with the team?" He says, "I'll be quick." I said, "All right, you got it." So he talked to him, and he was quick. He was in and out in a couple minutes, and we moved on. So which says something also. that he has a feel for that. He wasn't going to sit in there and preach to the guys over and over and over about it. He made a statement, and the guys believed it and understood it and were with him. So, and we moved on.
I want to ask you about one other player on your team who's really fascinating to me, and that's Tyrann Mathieu. For him to have taken on the sort of leader type role that he did, basically when he almost just walked in your team, and I've always thought it was really interesting about him. He would not allow, when he was like in college and just, he was, his price tag was devalued because of all the off-field stuff that happened. He refused to let that part of his life ruin his life. And he has done something every year, I think, in the NFL to show teams, you want me on your team. Yeah. What's it like every day with Tyrann Mathieu?
Yeah, well, Bill O'Brien told me that. He just goes, "Hey, listen, this kid, you just got a phenomenal leader." And what a tribute to the kid. I mean, he did. He had a rough go. He grew up rough, and he changed things around, and he gives back. I mean, the first week he was in town, he was out doing community work. I mean, that's just how he goes. And then he's always here. I mean, it's funny because we're working in the stadium now, and so we have golf carts that circle the stadium, circle inside the stadium on the carpet. We've got the gray tires. I mean, we've got it all set up where we can drive these things in one direction around the stadium and utilize all the space we possibly can for social distancing. So every day I drive by the part of the defensive meeting room and where the defensive backs end up going after the defense breaks up, and he's in there. I go up early. He is in there by himself, and he's talking to the film. He's looking at it, he's evaluating the film, and he makes funny noises. I think that's why they call him the Badger. I mean, he makes all these little grunts and groans as he's watching stuff. So, but he is into it, and he is so smart. And such he's smart on the field and off the field, and such a good leader. And he does it with this great energy and intimidated by nothing. I mean, he wants to challenge every play.
He's kind of maniacal with how he sort of fires himself up and the screaming and all that stuff. And you wonder about that. You sort of wonder what's going through his mind. I've seen a couple of NFL films clips where he's just, kind of a crazy guy, and then he goes and plays football.
Yeah, he can work within that. A lot of people, they get crazy and they can't think straight and they make a lot of mistakes. The best example of that was he was mic'd up during the Super Bowl, and he comes off the field and he's badgering out on it. And so he goes and he sits next to Tyreek, and he's just going, and he's just saying stuff. And Tyreek looks at him and goes, like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, no idea. But he vented for that second. He vented, and then he got it back together and he went out and played his tail off. So, but he's unique. What's unique about those two guys is they're as much into the offense and defense, the other side of the ball, that they play as anything. So they're always talking to the offense. Tyrann talking to the offensive guys, and then Pat talking to the defensive guys. There's no wall at all.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting about how quickly teams change and everything. If you'd been sitting there in 2017, if we're sitting there in training camp, and you think, or even 2016, you look ahead and you say, well, the two team leaders when we win the Super Bowl in 2019 are going to be Patrick Mahomes and Tyrann Mathieu. And that's a gross oversimplification. I'm sure you've got a lot of other guys who are leaders as well, but things change so quickly in football. And if you can't adapt and you can't live within that change, it's kind of adapt or die,
There's so much parity in this league, and that's the one unique thing with the salary cap that gives every city an opportunity. And it gives the coaches, the the owners an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl. And that's why um, during a recession, the NFL was still growing. It's popular. People love it. It's exciting. It's fan friendly. I mean, it's great for TV. All the new technology that's out, these iPads and everything else, that your cell phone. I mean, it's everywhere, and it allows you and I to make a living doing what we love to do. And so it's a unique dynamic, I would say, or business. You know.
We'll end with this. For years, you obviously were looking to win a championship, and everybody who talked about football would say, yeah, Andy Reid's a great coach, but he never won a Super Bowl. And I just wonder, has your life changed even one scintilla by winning a Super Bowl? What's different in your life now, if anything?
Well, not much. I mean, not much. Not much. I still love cheeseburgers, Peter. I mean, how great are those? Huh? How great is a good cheeseburger?
I mean, I like cheeseburgers as much as the next guy, but I don't think I like them as much as you do.
Yeah, no, listen, there's just something about it, but it keeps you grounded, Peter.
Yeah. Well, anyway, listen, thanks so much for taking all the time. Good luck this year. It's going to be such a fun chemistry experiment to see if this season can be played out to fruition. Signs are good right now, but you're in the first quarter of a long game.
That's right. It's exciting. Thank you.
Andy, thanks a lot for taking the time.
All right, Peter. Appreciate you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.